So this is the Muskoka GeoHub landing page. Thank you very much. All of these maps we'll try to get to, but I wanted to start with this one, the Air Photo of Muskoka app map. I'm hoping you're seeing this now. So scrolling in on the mouse, scrolling out on the mouse, clicking in, clicking out. And if I wanted to go in a particular area, I could zoom there and it'll take me there. But we could also enter a address and it'll take us right to that particular site. So once we're here, what we could do in this particular map is easily change to the 2013 air photos. We started with the latest and greatest 2018. I click to 2013. We're going back in time to 2008. You could see a whole bunch of changes in 87, 1977, and all the way back to 1969. Pretty quick, pretty cool, pretty fast. One of the things that you can do with this particular map, if you're interested in acquiring your own version of the image, you could click on this last one, highlight the tile you're interested in, copy that index, read all of these rules and regulations at the bottom, go to our email, paste that, and email it to us. Quick, fast, and efficient way of getting us data. I think if many of you are probably familiar with the old version of the web mapping site, and I wanted to show you this. I think most of the people would be able to say the last site was pretty cool. It had lots of information, very helpful, but what it was is slow. So what I'm hoping you can see from this is it's much quicker and able to showing some of this data. The next map I wanted to show you is this topo map. And one of the things you could do is save your last entry. So I'm going to start out here. I'm going to zoom out. We're going to start in the whole township, whole district of Muskoka. And I wanted you to look at this legend on the right. It's like the dynamic legend. Every time you zoom in a little bit more information shows up on the legend. And what we could do with all of these maps is to get right down to the properties, the roads, the actual buildings. And if we go in far enough, we're going to be able to see the civic addressing houses, civic addressing layers. And this is dynamic, where you could turn on and off individual layers or groups of layers. And you could actually open up these and turn on and off different layers to be able to see them. And if you don't want to see them, you could turn them off. So it's dynamic in terms of what's visible. It's dynamic in terms of a legend. And those air photos I showed you can be added to any map. By clicking this base map gallery, you could actually go and click the 2018 air photos, or you could go back in time, anywhere, whatever you wanted to see, or go back to the general base map here to start over again. So we have lots of data, lots of layers, zoom layering, and a lot of information in these two panels. Okay, so the next map I wanted to show you is one that I'm sure you and the industry you are in will be interested in. And this is the latest new floodline mapping layers that the district has recently acquired. And I'm going to start using some of these search boxes, and I'm going to search for a particular lake. And it's going to come up here, and I'm going to click on it, and boom, boom, we're here pretty quick. And I'm going to zoom into a particular area I'd like to just kind of zoom in on. I'm going to click and hold and drag the map to make it in the spot that I want. So now you could see in the legend the static floodline elevation. We also have some river layers which show the floodway, and I'll zoom out one, and the floodway and the floodline, okay? But what these maps provide is not only a pretty picture like this, but we could actually get a lot of information if we just click somewhere on the map. And by doing this, what we're giving you, everybody, is a significant amount of information on every property. We got lot and concession, town, the roll number, area, frontage, depth, property codes, And we even have at the end the extract date, so you can see how current this information is. But that's just one of several panels. You got to click this next feature panel. And in this map, and it'll all be different, but in this map, this is telling us the LiDAR, the DTM, the elevation of the ground through the trees, through the vegetation, not including anything else, but the ground is 284 meters above sea level. If I click the next one, what this floodline mapping is telling us is the elevation of this static floodline elevation line is 286.68. So if I do my math right, I think this particular location is about 2 3/4 meters underwater in the worst case scenario. Okay, so that's valuable information that we've never given to anybody and may not be very available to anyone in Muskoka. This might be one of our made in Muskoka maps that very few people have access to. When you see this more information link, click it. There's a ton of other data associated to this map. And in this case, you're looking at the original maps the consultant provided on that particular lake. But this link would give you more information that you could go and explore. But at the top, we also have other links. This is a link to the District of Muskoka floodplain mapping page that again has tons of data. And if you were really interested in the technical report from the consulting engineers on where these lines were created and how, then you could open up the actual technical report. So there's lots of functionality on every one of these maps. The other cool feature, again, we can add our air photos, but we have this swipe tool. And this swipe tool allows you to see through the trees in the air photo to the elevation of the ground below it. And that is a lot of fun. We actually spend most of our day playing with this, but you too can do that if you wish. That's the swipe tool. And I guess before I move on to any other kind of maps, I thought I would just click on one of these properties one more time and show you some more information, being the Street View link. And if I click this, it will show the actual Google Street View associated to that property. And we could zoom around. I'm sure you're familiar with this. And we can actually see civic address signs as well. So there's a link to Google highways, but not every road. Whoa, what does that mean? Okay, I'll move on. The other map that I'm sure real estate agents would be interested in is this map. And this is the District of Muskoka subdivision and condominium map. Again, I could search and find things, but if you really wanted to just zoom in, you'll be able to see a particular property that shows the subdivision details, including the number of units associated to it. And you can see in the legend, we have subdivisions that are draft approved or complete, and condominiums as well. And we could do a search for a particular application. I'm going to type in this. This is a subdivision application number, and it'll take us right to that property. One more time, we could add the air photos, which is very helpful. But in this case, this layer is covering over what we want to see. But we have a solution for that. We could go to the development layer, which this is on, click these three little dots, click the transparency, and we could actually change the view of that particular object to magically see through it, but not turn it off. So that feature and functionality is available for any layer on all our maps. The other maps that I'm sure you people are very interested in are the zoning, and we have many municipalities that have zoning maps. I'm going to start by looking at just the Township of Muskoka Lakes zoning. And in here, you can zoom in anywhere, search and find. You can click on a property, be able to easily see the individual zones, which are shown here in the legend. But I could actually click and save or search and find on a roll number. And in this case, I'm going to search and find on this one. And I could click on this particular property and it'll again give me all of this detailed standard property information that we've been providing for the last decade on our old version. But in this case, I'd like to show you the zoning information that Muskoka Lakes Township has provided. In this, it shows what the zone is, but we have this hyperlink to the PDF file, which shows what permitted uses are available on this particular zone. And each zone will have a different hyperlink to a different map, but you can see what the permitted uses are. And you could see what type of setbacks and side yard requirements that they require. I'm not a planner, but that seems to be helpful information should you need it. And the other one that the Township of Muskoka Lakes has provided that we're excited about is the exact document of the exception for this particular parcel. And you could go back and see what was approved, what was whatever decided way back when by the township of the day. So there's a lot of information available with simply clicking and accessing the hyperlinks for each one of those. We could also search on settlements. If you just wanted to look in one area and zoom around, then you could just start by there and zoom in and see it. It's a quick way to find a particular town or village or community. And the other thing that we can do in Muskoka Lakes Township, as some of the others, is we can search on a particular exception number. And this will take you to that particular property with other information associated. So if I wanted to kind of just zoom in here, I could show you some of the other tools that this new product provides us. There are some measuring tools with this particular icon, and you could pick a measurement and you could start measuring, and there's the details there. Same thing with area, and same thing with coordinates. You could actually pick a part of the coordinate and it'll give you a degrees or degrees, minutes, seconds, and it'll give you that information. So there's value information on the measurement tool. But this one is even more valuable, I would think. I could type in a text. I could change the color. I could change the font size, and I could click anywhere on the map and it'll show it. I could also draw things. I got lines and points and polygons. I could pick a different style. I could scroll down here and I could actually show the area in square meters and the perimeter in, oh, I don't know, meters. And I could draw where I want my new house to be. I think I'm going to put it right about here. And when I double click, it's actually going to put those documents or those dimensions right on the map. And I could print this. I could go to the print icon. I could actually change the title of it. I can go to a whole bunch of other advanced options, which I typically don't go. We're using the default. I could change the size, and we have about 6 or 7 different formats, but typically most people use PDF, which is the default. And it's going to run through this in about 4 or 5 seconds and give me a temp file that I could look at and open. And it shows the map with my notes, with my comments, and it gives us a legend, a scale bar, a date, everything that you kind of needed in a quick, and I could print that and save it and share it. So that's pretty cool. And I could come back here, scroll down to the bottom and clear out my notes. We also have for the zoning maps links to the township of each township's homepage, excuse me, and each township's actual zoning bylaw, the full version. So you could certainly look at those things too. Another way to search and find things on these maps is with this tool. It's a query tool. And we could search for a zone or a road, but I'd like to show you the search for the township, which I think many of you probably start with in many cases, because there isn't a civic address, but you do have a lot and concession. And I'm just going to go through, pick a lot and a concession, click apply, and boom, we found it in that pretty quickly. I could click these 3 buttons and remove this result I could go back and do some other queries if I wish, but I think that showed the point that we could actually search and find the lot and concessions very quickly. One of the things that can be done here again, which I think is pretty unique for a lot of websites, is the ability of finding the property through some directions. This is the directions widget or directions tool. If I click this, I can find a property by clicking it on the map. An address comes up on that particular, whoops, I'm going to clear that. I apologize. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to type in an address where I may be coming from, my office at 70 Pine Street in Bracebridge. I'm going to click, and boom, it's given me all these directions. It shows me exactly how to get there. I could actually print this off and use it, or I could actually use this right on my phone. Every map I've showed you, and I will be showing you today, is accessible and usable on your smartphone or your tablet out in the field. You could do those directions on the phone. But one of the better features that we provide you is this little tool here. It's called the My Location tool. If you are on your phone or your tablet, and instead of searching and finding your location, just click the My Location. It'll zoom right to where you're located, where you're driving, where you're standing out in the field. Very helpful tool there. Okay, the other really cool thing, I'm going to go back to where I was a second ago. I'm going to go to my previous extent. I'm going to zoom into a random property, and I'm going to click this tool, my property report. And I'm going to click this point tool, pick any one. I'm kind of going to use my default settings here. I'm going to click report, and I'm going to click the print icon and accept the default. And what this is showing is all of the information that we gave you in the little pop-up window, but in a convenient kind of one-page map. It's got the roll number, it's got the lot and con, it's got some information on each of these, but it also has the map. And you can change the name of this, and you can print this and save it and distribute it. It all is all public information. This is all available to the public, not just you people. And you could save this and share it and make it pretty easy and convenient to get information out and shared. So that is not new information that we're showing, but it's a new format of way of getting that out to you. And before I move this onto this map, I do want to take a minute to show you about the I tool at the end here. This is the About tool. This tells you about us, who we are, how to contact us through this email, how to follow us on our Twitter account for new latest information, and some of the rules, disclaimers, legal issues that I'm sure you are familiar with and should read every time you look at this. So I wanted to point that out to you before moving on. Another cool made in Muskoka map, we think, is this 3D view of buildings. I can search and find again if I wanted to, but I'm just going to pan over here. I'm going to search, zoom in a little bit, and there's a little tool here called the toggle and pan, where it allows me, with lots of practice, to zoom around, pan in, see the elevation of the ground, the 3D buildings in the foreground, and just to get a sense of what type of elevation is around a particular neighborhood. And that is kind of fun and exciting, and yeah, we spend all our day doing that. Another one that you people, I assume we're familiar with. If not, I'm happy to show you another made in Muskoka custom map that has the shoreline videos. Another company has captured this. You could search and find any property or any lake, click on one of these icons, click the view video, launch it, and to be able to see the actual shoreline of dozens of lakes in Muskoka. With a click of a button, you could kind of go forward. And again, we don't spend our whole day doing this, but it is kind of fun. And I'm just going to zoom back out again. There are hours and hours of video in Muskoka that you could certainly use to your advantage. So we've got air photos, we've got road photos, and we've got water photos to share with our public here in Muskoka. Another map that is really significant to Muskoka is water quality. We do have a division of our team definitely using shoreline mapping or watershed mapping almost every day. And here's another tool to find it. We could search for a watershed name, and I'm going to type in Clear Lake and apply. And it comes with two. We have more than one lake of the same name, but I want to go to this one. So, and I could remove that query from our maps, and there is Clear Lake watershed. And if I click on this, it gives me the information about the watershed itself. There it is. But it also gives me details about the water quality sampling that has been done on these lakes for a while. And here's another link. You need to click these links and show you here the water quality information from our Muskoka Water website on this particular lake. It gives us the area, the depth, it has some phosphorus calculations, and it also has this Secchi depth, 6 meters, which I think is pretty clear. It tells us how far you could see through the water, and it goes back to 1980. We have data for 30 years in Muskoka, and it shows all of the details about every particular lake. And I think this is a valuable resource for anybody who's looking at water quality, lake quality, by going to the water quality map on the District of Muskoka's GeoHub site. Okay, moving on. We also have other forms of mapping that we're providing to the public, and there's story maps. And these four here are story maps, and we've done a great job in the last little while making these available. They have more than maps. They have detailed reports, they have links to videos, they have applications that people can see, and they have maps. And they're interactive in a similar way that we just showed you. You could click on it, you could get some information here, but that's everything you needed to know about the watershed, Muskoka watershed, as provided by the Muskoka Watershed Council. But we also have very recently added an algae monitoring program. And again, by scrolling down, you just get a ton of details, interactive, being able to link and find things. It shows you how this data is collected. There's interactive maps again. There's a whole ton of information on these products that can be shared and stored in these things called story maps. So that's what I wanted to kind of present to you today. If there was, I'm going to ask Stu if there's any questions that we can kind of pass around. But really, what I'd like you people to do for us is to start using it, sharing it amongst your colleagues, and letting us know what we can do better. What's missing? What data is out of date? What files you would like to have us add and to make improvements on it. And if there is anything that you would like us to do in your normal use of the products of this site, then at the very bottom of the landing page would be the gisinfo@muskoka.on.ca email, and you could certainly send us a note on how to do that. So maybe Stu, before we go any further, is there any other comments or questions that you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We have had a lot of good questions this morning and a lot of good feedback. It's been great to see. So some of the questions that I think that I'd share with everybody is, does this exist for the District of Parry Sound, is one question that we received. And Parry Sound does have their own mapping system. The western part of Parry Sound is the West Parry Sound Geography Network. So you can search them up and see the maps through their site. East Parry Sound is sporadically has mapping systems provided based on whether the municipality has their own mapping system. So some do, some don't. So it depends on the specific area that you're looking at. Another question that we got was, can you also search via PIN number? Now, that's a good question because we currently do not have that search available on our public GeoHub site, but that is something that we might be able to provide in the future, and that's something that we would have to look into and talk with our providers, our data providers, to see if that is something that's possible. So that's something that we'll look into, because we know that as realtors, you use the PIN number quite often for searching for properties. So yeah, we understand that would be a useful thing. So we will look into that.
I'll just say this, Stu, that when you do go to any map, the search list is available, and you can see all of the different files or search options that are available currently. But the PIN number is not, and likely will not. It's a third-party data file that we're unable to provide to the public. So no, we can't. But a roll number you can. How's that?
All right, thanks for that clarification. So I was getting some questions about the various line shading and how to tell what's what on the legend. So Graham is displaying right now how to scroll up and scroll down on the legend panel. So you can, hover over that legend panel and then use your scroll wheel on your mouse to scroll up and down to see all the features that are currently visible on the map. If you go to the legend or the layer list panel, which is the next one over, as Graham's displaying, you can turn on and off certain layers. So Graham, if you turn off the base map, for example, you can turn off the whole thing and then go back to your legend. The legend is dynamic, and you'll see that there's no base map features shown on that now. So that's how to navigate between the two. The layer list is how you control what's being shown, and then the legend is really just displaying what you're seeing on the map at that moment. And we did get a question about whether this is being recorded, this demo, and we are recording the demo, and we will provide a link to a YouTube once this is complete, and so you can come back and review it at a later time if needed. The last question that I'll go over now before I pass it back to Graham is we got a question about zoning, and that zoning info wasn't coming up for a certain area that the person was looking at. And so currently, if you look at our main, our homepage for the GeoHub, we have 4 different area municipalities zoning shown in different apps. So we have Muskoka Lakes, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, and Huntsville. And we're expecting in the near future, or in maybe not near, in the future at some point, we will be having the Lake of Bays information provided as well. That's an expectation. So currently, the best way to find zoning for a property that you're interested in is first to understand what township or municipality they're a part of, and then open that specific app. And if it's in currently Lake of Bays or Georgian Bay, then you'll have to either go to the Lake of Bays website or the Georgian Bay website to find out the zoning information for those 2 municipalities. But we're hoping that in the end, we're going to have all 6 area municipalities for the entire district shown on our GeoHub page, and we're working with our partners to try to achieve that. Graham, I'll pass it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stu. I guess I'll end with this. How to find us. There's several different ways. You may already have a link to our previous site that should be able to take you to us. You can search and find us on the Muskoka site, District of Muskoka website, and you could search for maps, and it'll take you to our GIS or map page. It'll give you some information here, and you could launch from this site. We also have a pre-recorded version of our demonstration to the public that is accessible here as well. Going back here, you could also do a standard Google search for Muskoka GeoHub. It'll find you. Or you could just type in a URL of map.muskoka.on.ca. We are recommending people use Chrome as their internet browser. Internet Explorer is no longer compatible. but others are, like Firefox and others. So give it a try and let us know how it works for you. And again, contact us, gisinfo@muskoka.on.ca email, and we'll be happy to respond to your questions or your inquiries. So in closing, thank you for attending our demonstration today. I hope it's helpful for how you do your business, and happy mapping. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.